Today we're going to answer one of my most asked questions, which is what is my camera setup and how do I edit my content? So I'm going to go over it really briefly today. I'm not going to lie, the camera I'm filming on right now, this is my first time filming on this camera. It's new to the setup, and so I don't know how this quality looks, but if you go to all my previous videos, TikToks, whatever, those are all filmed on the same camera. Mostly, there's two different cameras that I use, but mostly it's going to be the one that I talk about today. The first one that I'm going to just mention for fun is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I don't use this a lot, but I will if I'm like out in the car, have to prop up a quick little video. It's easier for me to set up. So there are some videos that I do shoot with my Osmo Pocket 3. Pros and cons of this camera. One, I love it. I love that it's small. I love that it's compact. I can just throw it in my bag. Battery life is really, really good. I will say your lighting has to be really good. And so typically when I film on this, I am filming in my car. So I do have a ND filter that I just keep in the case that I'll pop on if it's a little bit too sunny. But other than that, I think it's a really great camera. I always shoot in D-Log with this, which means that I'm shooting in a flat profile. It's extracting all the color, and then I will go in and I will color grade this. That's how I personally feel like I get the best content quality out of this. I know that these are a little pricey right now, but I feel like if you don't want to do too much editing, you want something small, compact, this is a really great option. And I have posted YouTube videos using this. I do like that you can do YouTube format and I can go and do TikTok format. I also will not lie, I do not record in 9:16 on this camera. I'm always recording in like that YouTube format, just because I feel like I get the best quality out of that. And then I will post on TikTok like that. I've realized anytime I film in that long form content and then I try and crop it into 9:16, I don't particularly like that look. So what I've been doing lately is I will shoot in that long form content and then I will throw a mask over my videos, which gives it like that rounded edge, just to make it look more stylistic if I'm using this camera and posting on TikTok. So that's just like an honorable mention because I do use that camera frequently. But my baby, and what you will see of 99% of my content, that high quality content, is going to be my Sony ZV-E1. I got this camera, I want to say like a year and a half ago. It was definitely an investment and it was definitely not something I thought that I wanted to do. But at the time when I met my boyfriend, he was shooting with this camera and his videos looked so good. And so it was just about time for me to upgrade. So I am shooting with the Sony ZV-E1. This is going to be a more video-centric camera. This is going to be in the same line as your Sony ZV-10. This is just going to be more of a cinema lens, and it's just going to be a lot more high quality. Okay, let me not say cinema lens because that's going to be your FX3. But I just think that this to me gives me cinema. You know what I'm saying? Without that FX3 price tag. I think that they are very, very similar as far as video quality. The one thing that I do like about this, preferably over the FX3, is it's a little bit more compact, where it's not as, you're not getting like that thick body. The ZV-E1 is a lot more, obviously it's not an Osmo Pocket 3, but it's a lot smaller, especially when I have this lens on here. So this is a lens 90% of my videos are going to be filmed on when it's more of like that wider angle. So what I'm filming on right now is a 24-70 G Master. So you're getting a lot more wide. With this specifically, you're getting a lot more wide because it's that 20mm, and so I'll zoom it in a little bit. But I like this because I'm able to shoot long form like this for YouTube, and then I can crop it in without losing any quality to do 9:16 for like TikTok and shorts and stuff like that. So this is going to be the 20mm G Master lens, and I will include like pricing and everything like that just to be super transparent. I will say that all of these things are an investment. What I always like to add onto this is that you don't need these specific cameras to make good content. I'm like, sometimes I will just film on my, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the quality is insanely good. Even for the price of what this lens is, you can get yourself an Osmo Pocket and you can get really great content. This is just if like you really want to level it up, you're really aiming to do high level content, you want to get into the editing process and stuff like that. That's really what this is for. It's not something that you necessarily need to make content. But this is typically what you'll see me filming with, which is the Sony ZV-1 the G Master lens. Some other 20mm lens. Some other lenses that I'll use, maybe like my last 2 videos from when this is posted, I was filming with the 50mm G Master, which this is gonna give you a really creamy, blurry background. I used to tell my boyfriend how much I hated this lens when it comes to us doing media for our business, just because you don't get any range. It's 50mm and that's really it. You can zoom in, but you're not getting any farther out than 50mm. So I always feel like I had to be close to my subject, but I have been liking this recently as far as just setting up my camera and putting it on, because I'm getting a really great blur in the background. Everything's super creamy and it's just focused in on me. So this is really good. It's just a very close lens, so it does have to be somewhat further back. But this is a really good lens. It gets down to f1.4, which means that you're gonna have a lot more play with lighting and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then the lens that I'm shooting on right now is the 24-70 G Master, which I don't really use that much, to be honest with you. I have a Tamron 24-70 that I really like. It's a lot cheaper, so I feel a little bit better carrying it around. But I will mainly use that for like photos and stuff like that. But this is also a really great lens. It's pricey, so it's not something I would highly suggest. Versus this one, I would suggest getting the Tamron 24-70, which is what I got when I first got my camera. It's a little bit more budget friendly. And it gives you just a little bit more play as far as like zooming and stuff like that. And it gets down to 2.8 for your f-stop. As far as editing goes, so when I shoot with my Sony, I'm always going to shoot in S-Log, which I'll see if I can kind of give you an idea of what that looks like on the camera. So basically when you shoot in S-Log, it means that it's going to be pulling out all of your color from your videos. So you're going to get a really flat picture profile. So what I will do is I will shoot in S-Log, and then when I upload it onto my laptop, I have preloaded LUTs, or I will go in and I will color grade. I'll add the contrast, I'll add the saturation, and I'll work with lighting and stuff like that. What I will say is color grading is something that takes practice. It takes doing. There's a video I scrapped the other day because I recorded an S-Log and I was like, no color grade whatsoever looks good on this because my lighting was just off. So, you know, people say coffee is an art. I feel the same way about videography, especially when you're doing it for yourself and when you really want that high quality content. It truly is an art and a practice and something that you have to do constantly. I have been doing this for 2 years and I still don't have color grading down. So 9 times out of 10, I'm going to use a LUT, and I will link the LUTs that I use. I just had a discussion the other day that I think that I need to get different ones. These are LUTs that I got from my boyfriend. He's darker complexion. I think it matches well on his complexion, and it also depends on lighting, where to me, it makes me look a little funky. So I'm still on the search for a good LUT, but Sony on their website has their Rec 709 LUT. It's called like RES S709, which is basically going to pull back the colors into your camera, the natural colors, with just giving you more room to play with them. And so that's always an option. And then maybe adding your, you know, filters on CapCut, or just getting, you know, used to, just messing with some settings. But you can also on this camera record in the picture profiles that are loaded up onto this camera, and there are some really good ones that may fit your vibe that you can try out, or you can just record regularly, making sure that your lighting is good, and then you don't have to do much of anything. There's a lot of options, but that's just what I do. So when people ask me how do you edit, I'm recording an S-Log, I'm uploading to CapCut, I'm preloading a LUT in there, or I'm just color grading the whole thing depending on the lighting of that video and how it's already looking. And then, yeah, that's really it for me. And then also for microphones, I'm using the, where are you? I use the Hollyland microphones. I'm wearing one right now, but it just looks like this. It's like a little circle with a little magnet, and then it has the transporter that goes directly into the camera. I like these because they're really small and really compact. I was shooting with the Rode mics previously, and I just felt like they were really big and clunky, and I didn't really like them. And they also didn't have a magnet. DJI mics are also really good. I know they just came out with the minis. I haven't tried them, but I've heard nothing but good things. But these are just a little bit more budget friendly. I want to say these are like $150 or something around there. You get 2 mics. The battery, I'm not even kidding you, I've had these for like 2 years. I just had to plug these in yesterday. I can't even tell you the last time I like charged these. So the battery is really good on these, and the quality is just good. I also use these for my podcast. it just makes it easier for me to just plug it right into the camera and extract audio from there. The camera that I'm shooting on right now is going to be the Sony a7R Mark V, which is going to be our photocentric camera. Like I said, I've never actually shot video on this. This will be the first time, so I'm really curious to see how it looks. From here, it looks really, really great, but this is something that I'm going to use specifically, and he specifically, for photos. So anytime you see, I don't even want to say that because I've taken photos on my Sony ZV-E1 right now. This is something that's very, very new. So I have little bits of photos that have been taken on this, but not really. But yeah, that's us. That's what we're shooting with. This is the main girly, is the Sony ZV-E1. This is something that I have considered switching just because I get a little bored, but I ultimately think this is something that will always be, I think I'm always going to be shooting Sony and then just adding on cameras on the side, like a Fujifilm or something like that for fun. But as far as video goes, if you want amazing video quality, amazing colors, just amazing range all around, with also a really good price range for lenses. I know if you go Canon or if you go Nikon or you go Fuji, you're going to be spending a lot on lenses, where Sony, you get a good amount of third parties at really, really comfortable price ranges, Sigma, Tamron, and even Sony themselves. So you don't have to buy G Master lenses. You can go ahead and get a Tamron or a Sigma at a lower price point while still getting really good quality out of your camera. So yeah, that's me. I always get questions, what I shoot with, how I edit, and that's really just like the basics. I hope I hit everything. If there's anything I missed, just comment below, let me know. Another thing that will be super important for you to get, good SD card. Consider that when you're thinking about getting a camera. These are all expenses that you should think about. A good rig to be able to add on all of your plates and stuff like that when you want to pop this on a tripod. And then also, what was the last thing I was gonna say? Hard drive. These cameras take up a lot of space. This video I'm recording on right now is probably going to be 20 gigabytes. And so I had to get a hard drive, which I didn't even know was a thing. My boyfriend had to teach me all of this. And a hard drive is just going to be a place where you can offload all of your video content onto a bigger file. Hard drives right now are wickedly expensive. They're probably around like $150 to $200, but that will be something that you need. You never want to edit off your SD card. I've learned this from experience. You want to edit off that hard drive. So you're going to need somewhere to store all of this content that's really, really high quality. I try my best not to keep any videos from my camera on my phone because they're way, way, way too big of a file. So that way you know that all of your stuff is safe and you keep it to the side. So that's kind of what my process looks like, is record, hard drive, CapCut, edit, back onto the hard drive, and then uploading from there. So yeah, that's me. That's what I use. If you guys have any questions, if there's anything else that you want to know, let me know and I would be happy to talk about it. Okay.